Speaking of not at all Namibia, tell us about sorry. It felt wrong. And this is Gaytriarchs. David, I just want to grow up to be an old lady.
You kind of are.
I want to walk through life with the entitlement that I witnessed the other day at Lowe's of an old woman who walks past three people who are awkwardly standing in line in the paint aisle, including myself, because we're all waiting to talk to that poor guy who's like, listen, this is not my passion in life is to be the paint guy in the paint section at Lowe's. All of you are breathing down my back. It's a Saturday morning. I don't know why they didn't hire more people to work here at 11:30 on a Saturday morning at Lowe's in the paint section. And then up comes this woman who says, "Hey, Clark." And I'm like, oh, she must know him. And he turns and she's like, "Clark, I'm looking for that spray paint that's for furniture. Where is that?" And he's like, right over there. She walks away without thanking him. And I realized that bitch just walked up, looked at his name tag, skipped beyond all of us, and she got exactly what she needed. And frankly, it was very efficient. She had a quick question. It's fine. But I want to grow up in life with the entitlement of somebody who just pushes past a line and addresses a person by their first name because they're wearing the name tag. A name tag is not, it does not mean that you're supposed to use the name. I don't think. This is another discussion entirely.
What?
But I don't think that Clark should have been addressed by his name because Clark immediately thought, oh, I'm going to listen to this broad, you know?
Man, when I'm an old lady, I'm going to steal stuff. I'm going to cut lines. Do you know what I mean? Like I have done enough shit in my life to where like, I don't have to follow the rules anymore. I'm going to commit crimes. I'm going to do all kinds of fucked up shit when I'm old.
Well, that woman did not, she had zero fucks to give. That's for sure. And I guess that's kind of the story is I want to walk through the entitlement of having no fucks to give.
My son has no fucks to give because we were playing PlayDoh the other day and I went to do some of the dishes and I came back around the corner and he's stuffing PlayDoh in the head of his penis, like in the foreskin. He's stuffing his penis full of PlayDoh. And I had to say out loud, for real, please don't put PlayDoh in your penis. And so these are things that you don't see on the brochure of what you need to know about parenting and the things that you're going to have to say.
Is this the moment in the Gaytriarchs story where we talk about whether or not to circumcise our children?
Have we not talked about this already?
I don't think so.
I feel like we have, but if we haven't, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if you went through this, but a lot of I see it a lot in the gay dad kind of groups online is like, should we or should we not? And then it just seems to everyone is very passionate about their side. It is a weirdly passionate issue for guys. And so when we were having kids, I remember us kind of casually having the discussion. And then when it was time to decide, it felt significant. Now, my husband and I are both circumcised, and we just kept saying like, why would we? Like, what is, you know, what's the data out there? But also it just felt so fucking pointless and cruel to
and
do
archaic.
It just like, there's no religion behind it for us. There was no, so what we're left with was like, I want my kid to look like me. It felt like I had to walk to school. So you have to walk to school. And I was like, I don't think we need to do it. And I think we made the absolute right decision. But I see I have friends and family who have done the opposite. And I totally get it because you just don't know what to do.
It's all right. But it is, we're living in an interesting time now where people do have that open discussion about like, wait, why have we done this for, you know, why has one society, America, done this for the last 80 years or so? It's a fascinating history. But now your kid gets to smuggle PlayDoh wherever he wants. And I think that you have given him a tremendous gift.
One time in the bath, I will never forget. He has these like little plastic. It's kind of like what like a G.I. Joe would look like, but they were from Wendy's, of course, because that's the only place to go. It was the toy you got in the meal. And he would put like their feet or their hand, whatever is like the extended part, in, and then he'd stand up, and it was like hanging from his dick, and it was so funny, but also like, please take the GI Joe out of your penis. I maybe I should have gotten him circumcised, because then I wouldn't have to be saying these things. But it is weird how much fascination. I have some friends who are uncircumcised, and I've asked them, I'm like, do you do this? Do you do X, Y, and Z? They're like, oh yeah, we do that. And I'm like, oh, well, it's just part of this community I'm not a part of.
Yeah, that is, wow. I cannot wait for the Wayback Machine to find this episode in 10 years and for your son to hate.
He's going to be so pissed. But speaking of kind of things that gay dads talk about and some controversial things, I witnessed something in some of the gay fathers groups online. I don't know if you saw, I'm curious to get your take on, which is they were talking about when and if, like, you're asked, hey, if you did gestational surrogacy, who is the biological dad, right? Like, that is a common question that I have gotten a billion times that I want to ask because I'm just curious. And they were basically saying, should we tell people who ask, right? And of course, there's a sliding scale. They're like a stranger on the street. It's none of their business, but also like your family. And so it was an interesting discussion. And I've always been like, I'm not offended by the ask. I am also curious, and I will tell you, but I understand how maybe some people find it like a too sensitive question to ask. What do you think?
Really? Wait, do you mean people find it too sensitive, the asker or the askee? Like
to be asking somebody, either your family member or a stranger who has gone through donor-conceived surrogacy, who is the biological parent?
I guess there's different ways of looking about this, but it's funny. I was listening to the radio just the other day, and it was some
radio.
Pride
You're a
story.
billion years old.
It was NPR. Of course. And it was a Pride episode, and they were interviewing a woman who is a lesbian with children. And she was saying, how dare people ask me how I made my family? It's not their business. And I don't feel like I need to share that with anybody. And I was taken aback by that, because I'm like, well, isn't this part of representation? Isn't this part of flying a pride flag and saying, here I am? And it's exciting to talk about how you made your family, I think. And it normalizes it for people who are curious or don't know how it's done. Now, in terms of asking who is the biological parent, I've never had a problem telling it. I want my kids to know it. I don't think it doesn't need to be a secret.
And I think that's the crux of it right there, is that, like, it is part of your story. And so don't be ashamed of it. I get the other side, which is, I think, like I don't want to be looked at as the less than parent or something like that. But I have never felt that in my life. I know prior to becoming a dad, biology was very important to me, because I was worried I wouldn't feel that way. And when I tell you, I think of me not being biologically related to my daughter 0 times. I mean,
same.
0 times. Other than people every once in a while like, oh, you look like your son. I'm like, yeah, because we both have blonde hair. I don't ever consider our connection different than my husband's, but I get how you could feel that way.
And I think it's important to also, this is a part of transparency and having kind of mature conversations with your kids, not mature as in above their grade level, but that it is okay for your kid to realize that they came about in a different way, but you also love them unconditionally, and you are a family. And sometimes families get crafted in different ways, and that is okay.
And technically, I love my non-biological kid way more than my biological kid. Like leaps and bounds.
Speaking of relatable, I have a couple of hacks that I have recently researched for us. Okay. You know how your kids come up with like crazy ideas, like, oh, we should go do this, or I want to go do that, or blah, 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 and you think, how do I just get out of this? And just, I don't want to say no right now, but I came across a recent hack that basically is, you have an idea place, like a folder in the kitchen where you write down ideas, and a kid comes up with a great idea, be it go to Disneyland, or I want to dye my hair blue, or whatever, and we don't have time to do it right now. Put it in a folder where you keep your ideas, and those are ideas that you can go back and refer to. And often kids just need to get it off their chest, and they want to know they've been heard, and so go write it down in an idea place.
And so the idea is that, like, you put it in this book and then you promptly ignore it?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Next part is when a kid is having a problem with something, rather than just trying to solve the problem for them, like tying their shoe or solving a math problem or whatever, asking them, what is the tricky part for you? because it may not be the entire act of tying their shoe. It might be just like the first loop or the second loop. And helping them isolate what is the actual problem can help them be better problem solvers themselves.
Okay.
And then also, I always felt like when my kids were really little and we had way too many toys, they were overwhelmed by all the toys, and they would very frequently easily get bored because they had basically overstimulation and too much shit all around them. So when I started to hide toys and things would disappear and they honestly wouldn't even notice. But then every week or so, I would think to myself, oh, I should go get that other thing. I would bring it out and it was like a brand new toy.
Oh, yeah.
That entertained them for at least 4.5 minutes. And
oh, yeah.
then I was able to neglect them and go get on my phone.
Oh, the circle of toys, we do that in our house. We have like 3 areas where like toys go and then they go away and then they get in the staging area. And it is literally like Christmas Eve. They're like, oh my God.
Staging area. They're on deck. They're on
it's
deck.
Literally on deck. It's on the deck in the dug. Wait, no, on base. What are the? This is beyond my.
Well, I was thinking of auditions. That was an actor. Like,
I was thinking of baseballs.
No, that's on deck too. I never made that comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. No, but we for sure do that. And when I have brought things out, like infant toys, my son saw the little saucer you sit in as a baby and it has like stuff around it in a circle. Yeah. We went to the garage and my son found it. He played with it for an hour.
We used to call that the Neglectomatic 2000 because you could just leave it in that way. Yeah,
that is fantastic.
Or his office, our kid's office.
Oh yeah, we did the office.
The office.
Yeah.
The office. No. And then sometimes we like to talk about news in the world, and I have to say there's an awful lot of shitty news for gays out there. But there was one little highlight that in Namibia, the High Court has decriminalized homosexuality. So there you go. Little bright
everyone,
rainbows.
Yeah,
moved to Namibia.
Open your Zillow and see what's going on in Namibia. You know what they don't have in Namibia?
What?
Our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
God damn, that was hard. This week is my list.
Oh, thank God. I was trying to think, wait, did I do this one or not? I am ready, but I thought, oh God, did I, is this mine? Anyway, great.
You have arguably never been ready for the top 3 list, but always pull through with 3 things, which is fucking fantastic. Including 2 weeks ago when you made it up on the spot?
Mm-hmm. Like I'm doing right now?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
So this week it is top 3 things, do as I say, not as I do. We love to embrace our hypocrisy here on Gaytriarchs. And so here are the top 3 things, do as I say, not as I do. In number 3 for me, wash your hands. I never wash my hands. I never wash my hands unless I was cutting raw chicken. I never wash my hands.
And this is why every woman finds every man on the planet disgusting.
We are. So, and number 2, eat well.
Yeah.
Eat well. Eat vegetables. Stop eating when you're full. Sugar is a sometimes snack. Really, I really want you to eat well and think about food as fuel for your body. I don't do that. You know the jumbo buckets of popcorn at movie theaters?
Yeah.
Do you know that now if you buy a jumbo bucket, you get a free refill?
Yes.
I'll blow through 1.5 buckets by myself in a movie theater.
Damn.
1.5 buckets. 1.5 buckets.
I'm rendered speechless.
Why am I fat and tired all the time? Okay. And number 1, the thing that I want my kids to do that I do not do is just let it go. Just let things go.
That's a good
one.
still
Still stew about that girl in 4th grade who called me gay when I didn't deserve it. I mean, I did deserve it.
Right.
And I stew and stew and stew over the smallest shit, and I don't want my kids to do that. So let things go. All right, what is your top 3?
Okay, for me, the most basic one, no doubt, is number 3, get off your phone. I mean, the amount of times that I am literally on my phone in the midst of texting and turn to my child and say, get off your phone. And I see the hypocrisy. Thank God she hasn't really called me on it. And often when I'm just like, but I'm reading the New York Times. But yeah, that's a level of embarrassment for sure. Number 2, don't say bad words. Don't cuss.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Fucking
plain and
hell.
simple.
Yeah.
And finally, we tend to have a little section in our fridge that has a bag of mini Reese's peanut butter cups. And I always say, please don't have more than 2, but I have 11 or 52 at night after the kids have gone to bed, or frankly at 4:00 in the afternoon. So the level of hypocrisy I have about Reese's peanut butter cups is criminal. So yeah.
Listen, we have said this since our literal first episode. We embrace the hypocrisy.
Absolutely.
So what's next week?
Next week, for our top 3 list, I want to hear about 3 tops. Just 3 tops. Okay.
Top 3 tops. I cannot wait
tops.
to see where this goes.
Our next guest is a journalist from Winnipeg who immediately sought us out because she gets the Gaytriarchs vibe. She's been a writer for all things progressive, transgressive, aggressive, and obsessive. A queer mom of a queer kiddo. Welcome to Elisha Dacey. Hello, Elisha.
Hello. Where's my round of applause? Yay!
Yeah. We can't afford that. We can't afford those kind of sound bites here at Gaytriarchs.
We don't have those. Elisha, welcome. Without a round of applause, how has your kid driven you bonkers today?
You know what? My kid has been the opposite of bonkers today, which is very, very out of character for them.
What?
Usually,
what's the secret?
You tell me. I have no idea.
Take that shit to another podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
My kid is so great is another podcast, actually.
Yeah. No, but literally, like, my kid came in and was like, hey, Mom, I know you haven't eaten anything. I'm going to make you breakfast. Okay, that's
what?
I know. It is bizarre because usually the morning goes, okay, get out of bed. Get out of bed. Get out of bed. Clean your room, get out of bed. Oh my God, get out of bed. Yeah, we have reached that stage of teenagehood where the getting out of bed is impossible. And that is my daily annoyance right now.
I feel like what I'm learning from you older people is that, I mean older people as in parents of older children.
Thank you.
Is that the please put on your fucking shoes morphs into please get the fuck out of bed, which morphs into. So it's just the same conversation that we just have on repeat, but it just changes what the thing is that they're not doing.
It's very much a difference between, go to the fuck to sleep to wake the fuck up. Yeah.
Yes. But furthermore, I mean, that immediately makes me think about all the shit that I nag them about, like, please pick up your shoes, please pick up your room, blah, blah, blah. There is no amount of passive aggressive stepping over of their crap to leave it there that I can tolerate. I can do it for 3 days. And after that, I hit the wall because I'm like, how have you not seen that pile of clothes that you are literally stepping over to get to your bed is an impediment to your life? Come on.
It becomes invisible. It's the same way with us at the old, like, because we have an upstairs and a downstairs, and there's the old game where you have something that needs to go upstairs, so you put it on the bottom stair tread, and it lives there for weeks, and you just don't see it anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Elisha, you have not figured out how to get beyond that with your teenager.
No, and we have tried many, many things, especially we have tried different alarm clocks. We have tried like the sunrise alarm clocks. We have set, Google to be very, very loud, and it just gets turned off and she goes right back to sleep. And like the cleaning of the room thing, I actually I took advice. I did the right parental thing and I said, okay, how do we deal with this so that you like pick the clothes up off your room? And they wanted 2 different hampers, like dirty clothes hamper and a clean clothes hamper, and that'll solve the problem. No, now the clothes they're still all over the room and the hampers are empty.
I bet if you tipped over like a bucket of snakes into her room, she'd pop right the fuck out of bed. Right the fuck out of bed. Probably. No.
Yeah. It's not a problem that is going to solve itself anytime soon. And to be fair, I was the same way. Thank you, undiagnosed ADHD. And I didn't get my shit together until I was an adult. But can we just keep the stuff off the floor? Why is this so hard?
Yeah.
Why is this so hard?
Yeah.
You have 1,000 different organizing shelves and buckets and everything, and no, it's all on the floor. everything.
Now,
Yeah.
real talk here. Hopefully I won't get us all into trouble by saying it, but I know that you have written about ADHD, and I think it's helpful to destigmatize it and realize that so very, very many of us do have ADHD. When does the Venn diagram of ADHD overlap with teenagerhood, where you're just a fucking teenager? But there's a very small percentage of teenagers who are the level of responsibility we hope they would be, where we're like, oh, look, they don't have any sort of mental impediment to being a highly functioning 48-year-old at the age of 14.
Right. And that really is the question, right? Like, that's something that we struggled with. And in fact, when my teen came to me and said, Mom, I think I have ADHD, I laughed because I thought, you don't have ADHD. And then we did the assessment and, oh my, yeah, okay, they do. And, I kind of regret going, laughing in their face, like, you don't have ADHD. But so many women and, females, their ADHD is diagnosed as inattentive, which means they don't have the hyperactive part of ADHD. It's just your brain gets distracted and you go off into la la land and you forget to do stuff. And a friend of mine was recently diagnosed and she called it, when she started meds, it was like taking mittens off. She had gone through her life wearing mittens and now the mittens were off. So she could still do stuff, but it was harder. And after my kid was diagnosed, I was like, oh shit, she has like so many of the same symptoms I do. Oh my God, do I have it? And then I had it and it blew me away. Yeah.
I think part of probably what drives a lot of that. I feel that I'm always this way too, where like something becomes very prevalent and I'm very much get off my lawn until I like come around or whatever. And kind of how you were feeling with like, you don't have ADHD. I think also what it's almost like, it's like putting the word trans on something where you're like, why is everyone trans now suddenly? It's like, well, I don't know if everyone's trans suddenly. It's just that when we make it okay to be, that's the left-handed thing that you've heard a million times. And I wonder if with ADHD and mental health in general, because we're like taking the stigma off a little bit, it does seem like everyone has debilitating cases of anxiety or ADHD versus like, oh, well, maybe that was already there and we're just putting a name to it and that is a good thing. But I can get how people are like, why is everybody trans now? Yeah. I'm like, well, I don't think everyone is trans now. But I think that because transness is becoming less and less of a terrible thing that you should never, ever be, people are like, oh, I guess I'll just be my authentic self. So that maybe that's what happened with ADHD. I have not said it correctly one time in that entire monologue, and I'm not cutting any of it out.
Okay, keep it. I think that's fine. No, I'd agree with you there. The stigma has, come off. In Canada, there was it actually was started with actually a corporate slogan on social media, called Let's Talk. And it was ironic because the corporation was Bell Media, which has probably the worst mental health plan in Canada. So the fact that they were spending millions of dollars to say, hey, let's reduce the stigma of mental health, that did not go unnoticed, especially by the journalists who work for Bell Media. But it did achieve some effects in terms of being able to talk about it freely. And especially as a journalist, it was actually extremely freeing because in journalism newsrooms, you do not talk about your mental health. You worry that you'll lose your job if you can't handle the harder things. And it became, there are a lot of journalists out there with PTSD from what they saw in the newsroom just doing their job. And the fact that you didn't talk about it, that's also why, the stereotypical journalist chain smokes and has, whiskey in their desk. Because that's how they dealt with their shit. So now that has changed, at least here in Canada, I can't speak for the US, that has changed greatly, but there's still always work to do.
For sure.
A little bit of progress. Well, so one of the main questions I thought that it would be super interesting to have you here, not the least of which is how does the level of hypocrisy in your life make you feel like a gaytriarch? But you have a queer kid, and I'm curious, what advice can you share with the rest of us, and what mistakes can we learn from in helping a kid reach their most authentic selves?
Okay, so I think you've just asked me 8 questions.
Sorry about that. It's
get used to it, Elisha. Get used to it. He will ask 20 questions and then answer them for you.
Okay,
How are you a hypocrite who feels very connected to the Gaytriarchs vibe?
how am I a hypocrite? I mean, I think every parent is a hypocrite. It has to be. Probably the most hypocritical thing is that whole rules for me, but not for thee thing. That happens a lot.
That was our top 3 list for this episode. That is, oh my, I cannot believe you said that. Our top 3 list is top 3 things, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is amazing that you came up with that. Yeah.
And see, my kid has been calling me out on my hypocrisy since they were like 7 years old. So
that's so
I've tried
not
very
helpful.
hard. Right. I've tried so hard not to be, but it still rears its ugly head every once in a while. And you just can't help it. And I don't think I've ever said the things my parents said, where it's like, don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about.
Right.
Or, I'm your mom, just do what I say because I know best. But it has come very close. And maybe I have said it. I don't even know. I'm sure my kid could tell me. I'm sure they've documented it every single time. They can use it,
that it'll be
future,
fodder.
but,
It'll be fodder for later. Well, so what?
I for sure said I told you because I said so
because
a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to walk into traffic. I was like, what? I can't, because I've been doing the same thing where I'm like, don't say any of the stupid shit that you annoyed you as a child.
Right?
Don't do it. And I've been really good. And then the other day he was just pushing me, and why do I? Because I fucking said so.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, he broke me.
And it's true. And then as a queer kid, that's been like a twisty journey of insanity for me anyways. Like we've always tried to raise, my kid fairly gender neutral. And I suspected as a young child that they might be gay. But whatever, it didn't really matter. It was more about not adhering to specific roles. As a woman, there's disadvantages, and just being yourself is fantastic. And so when they told me at about age 11 that, I think I might be gay, I was like, cool, that's fine. You have gay uncles who, are married, and you know what it's all about. I'm not that surprised. And then about a year later, they said, Mom, I think I'm trans. And I had a panic attack. So that was not good.
What made you have a panic attack about it?
So the fact that it wasn't the fact that they might be trans or were trans or are trans. It was more about the society around us and just how much more stressful our lives became simply because of who they are. So when they told me that they think they're trans, I did the wrong thing and I said, I don't think so. And then they told me again in a note saying, yeah, I'm really sure I'm trans. And I was like, fuck. And then my kid had to write a note to me. That's brutal. That is not who I want to be.
Right.
And so that was the only time I actually emergency called my therapist and said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. What do I do? What do I do? And she talked me off the ledge and said, Elisha, like, okay, this is, you take it one step at a time, and the changes don't happen overnight, and you kind of just go with the flow, and it's going to be okay. But, immediately I was wondering like about surgery and hormones and drugs and different clothing, all of those things. And so after my panic subsided, I called my same friend, my mitten friend, who has a son who is trans and had fully transitioned. And so I asked her advice, and she helped quite a bit just with the whole calming down thing and some resources in Winnipeg and where I could go. And probably my advice would be then, for parents who hear this from their kids is don't panic like I did.
Right.
Because it was more, again, it wasn't that they were trans, but it was more about the hate that I was worried they would face.
Yeah.
And we're in a fairly liberal city. The school divisions here, are fantastic. They're flying the gay pride flag right now in front of their high school. And there are gay straight alliances. Most of their friends are on the queer spectrum somewhere. It's very welcoming. And changing pronouns and stuff is old hat to them. Like,
the kids are
so
all right.
easy for them.
They get it. But it's so true that we as parents, of course, we panic in the same way that that my parent freaked out, saying, basically, like, be who you're going to be, et cetera, sort of. But I just don't want life to be more difficult for you. And you as a parent can't help but feel that way. You do. Frankly, you want your kids to be as conventional, normal, and boring as possible, ultimately, because life is easier when you're just normal, boring, and conventional.
Right.
But I think there's also, for at least, I can only speak for myself, but like, I think there's also, if I'm being totally honest, a part that I fear if my kid is going to ever be gay or trans, my kids, is a part of like what people think about me because my kid, like, if I'm being totally honest, the egocentric part of me of always constantly defending being a gay parent, and then my kid becomes gay or trans. See what I told you? So there is a part, I think it's 95%. I want to protect you and want you to be happy, and I don't want bad things to happen to you, which I think is normal. It's the same thing when I came out and all this. But like, there is an ego part of this where I don't want to have to also defend that now my kid is trans because I'm gay. Which is obviously stupid, but I know
so appreciate you making that confession so the rest of us don't have to look like assholes. Thank you, David.
I'm the jester, evidently, Gavin. So,
and I think, for me, so I'm bisexual, but I married a guy. What's the saying? I'm bi, but married a guy. And so people assume I'm straight.
Is that a thing? Oh, all right.
It is a thing. It is a thing. I'm bi, but I married a guy. And so people assume I'm straight. Mm-hmm. And I don't get that level of scrutiny, I mean, and my bi-ness, like, I don't even think my parents know. I've just never talked to them about it. I introduce them to people.
Hi, Dad. Here you are.
Yeah, exactly. Surprise. But I introduced them to, people that I was seriously dating, and that happened to all be men, just at the time, the way the circumstances worked out. Mm-hmm. So, surprise, I've had relationships with women and they had no idea. But
I think that's super common. Like the visibly, the publicly straight, where you're visibly, the quick, if I just look at you at the grocery store, I go, that's a straight woman, right. That's her husband. And that's what as we all know, there are so many things that are just not that way when you look at them and you're like, oh, that's two guys. You just don't know exactly what's going on.
Right.
But it is interesting that like you benefit from being visibly straight. Not that you're hiding your bisexuality, but like in the people who, none of us have ever experienced somebody pointing to a straight child and be like, see, it's because your parents are straight.
Exactly.
How dare you?
Exactly.
How dare you?
Yeah. And as my child was, okay, so I've been told they're trans, and we've kind of settled on for now, they feel more agender, but kind of all pronouns go. You'll hear me slip up, she, they, and kind of go back and forth. But so they're still there. They're still, trying to figure things out. And okay, I am here for it. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, I've never had to really suffer that kind of public, judgment that way. Especially since my child is not trying to pass, so they are just, they've dressed, probably more tomboyish, but they're not trying to look like a boy. So,
but that's what I mean when I talk about like people thinking everyone's trans now versus like, I would always argue to people, be like, remember when we just call girls who acted more masculine or like to dress more masculine just tomboys, and we just never considered that anything. That is, I think, on the trans spectrum, that is a part of that, and we're just
the gender spectrum for sure. Or when we would call little boys who like to be a little more feminine fags, right? Is that what? Is that?
Yeah, or we'd call them Gavin Lodge. You know what I mean? Like whatever. No, I have a real question because maybe I'm dumb. Non-binary and agender, same, different, nuanced. Like I've only heard non-binary, agender I've never heard. What is that? Basically,
I think it's essentially the same. I'm sure there's a nuance in there that I do not understand because I'm still trying to understand this as well. But agender is a term that's used here, so maybe it's just not.
I feel like the thing we've learned today is regardless of your child's birth sex or their gender or any sort of transitioning, they will not listen to you.
Pretty much.
That is, I think, the lesson we're learning. No child will listen to their parents, whether they're bisexual parents, straight parents, or your child is transgender. They won't put their shoes on, and they will not wake up in the morning.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And they will do hideous shit around your house. That's just
but also along that path, also when you realized that you needed to not freak out, and I would imagine when you took your kids' journey a little bit after they wrote to you, "I'm trans," you opened your mind, opened your heart, and then everything became less binary or less strict, right? They came, your kid just came back and was like, well, I don't know, maybe we'll just navigate this and not be one or the other, huh?
Right. But it's a scary thing to do that.
Sure.
And especially for someone like, I consider myself a pretty open-minded, liberal, very lefty kind of person. And so, but when you're confronted with the reality, it's so different.
Nuance.
And then when you start the journey, and it's like, there are no resources.
Yeah.
I don't have answers to my questions. What do I do? It's really frustrating, and just, you want to choke some politicians. So it's been a journey.
I think also it's hard. It's important for us to remember, because I feel the same way, if not more, where I discover myself being get off my lawn, and then I'm embarrassed at it, and I'm like, I'm not as open-minded as I thought. Is that like those like preteen to teen years are supposed to be exploratory and dangerous and challenging the status quo, and and allowing them to do all of that, and trusting that on the other side of that, they know who they are, and they'll settle on the thing that they love and who they are, but allowing them to maybe, like you said, go, I'm trans, well, maybe I'm not trans, maybe I'm agender. Giving them the space, I think, is so important, because I think about, like, if people didn't give me the space, I would be working at 7-Eleven right now, because that was my dream as a little boy, was to work at 7-Eleven, because I thought if you worked at 7-Eleven, you could eat as much candy as you wanted. And they allowed me to have that dream, and I am no longer aspiring to work at 7-Eleven. But
the more we push back on their expression, the more they're going to push back on us. So let your kids work at 7-Eleven. And by the way, for respect, because you probably do get to eat all the candy you want. So that sounds awesome.
Get all the candy.
All the candy. Absolutely. And I think too, what's interesting, especially around the whole trans conversation though, is that, when we talked about it, and we talked to, my husband and I talked a lot about like the influence of social media, and how when we were kids, you would try on different personalities, right? Like, my husband went through a goth phase. I was an art kid phase. And then there was, all these different things where you try on these different personalities. And so we wondered if that was what was happening here. But you can't discuss that in the trans community, because then you're immediately labeled transphobic.
Oh, yeah.
And it becomes very challenging to kind of share those things, like, okay, how do I navigate this? How do I know that they actually are who they say they are? And yes, I definitely trust them 100% that way, but how much is the influence of what's around them? And I think those are legitimate questions to ask. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I mean, I think the fact that kids can even question that and question their sexuality, that's fantastic. That's great. We should all do that. But it's scary.
It all goes hand in hand, and we can't have cancel culture on either side, frankly. Just let the kids be the kids and let them figure it out, and let's just all love each other. I mean,
and I love that your husband went through the goth phase. Guys, do you remember the ska phase? Do you remember those 8 months? Those 8 months where ska was it, and then it just went away forever. And it was the Mighty Mighty Bosstones and no one else.
Yeah.
That was it.
Did that go hand in hand with swing dancing as well, like the movie Swingers? And Gap had a commercial that was all swing dancing, and I mean, I suppose that was maybe a little after ska, before. Anyway,
I'm much too young to actually.
Please,
this conversation,
I can see the bags under your eyes with that, even with that Riverside filter. So, so Elisha, you are a journalist. Are you doing any hard-hitting, fact-finding journalism these days, or what is filling your journalism cup?
So right now, actually, I'm the managing editor of a website called Future of Good. It's kind of a different, it's an online magazine, and it's a little bit niche, but what we do is we talk a lot about the social services sector. So every nonprofit, every kind of arts group, anything that, and the changes that kind of surround that industry. So if you're a healthcare worker, if you're a theater producer, if you're a singer, if you're, all of those things within Canada's system, we talk about the changes and we talk about the solutions that are happening.
Ooh.
It's really easy to fall into the bad news trap. And that we don't shy away from that, but all of our stories, or the vast majority of our stories, have a solution.
Nice.
This is how some people are solving it. And that's a different type of journalism that's slowly gaining some traction I think, in the US than in Canada. So we're pretty unique that way. So I don't do a lot of writing anymore, with the exception of our newsletter, but I certainly I've learned so much about the nonprofit sector in the past year that I've been here that, it's kind of blown my mind. And it has changed my perceptions of, what government should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. So,
well,
it's very
we
interesting.
do like to consider ourselves here at Gaytriarchs America's finest news source. Often we will share bits of news that we find from basically with it
3 weeks after
the fact. 3 weeks
Yeah.
after, absolutely 3 weeks after the fact. But it is helpful I really like the idea that you are solutions based, and that would be a very productive way of reorienting our media for sure. We're going to do that here at America's finest news source as well. We're going to be solutions based.
I have no doubt
From here on out.
No doubt that you are going to follow this model.
How about those disaster stories from the road of parenting that can help us all realize that it's all one big shit show and we're all in it together?
So probably my favorite story, and my husband reminded me of it last night, actually, was we were living in BC. We spent about 2 years there when my daughter was very young.
For Americans, that does not mean before Christ, by the way.
No. British Columbia. We're living in the Okanagan Valley. It's a beautiful, very expensive part of Canada. And my child was, I think they were maybe 18 months-ish. My husband at the time was working retail. I was driving to go pick him up after a shift. And my daughter decided to vomit everywhere. And this is not, the little burp up.
Yeah.
This is, strapped in your car seat and it goes everywhere.
Yes, we're familiar.
And I'm like, well, fuck. So I texted my husband, and texting was still fairly new those days. Texted my husband and said, buy me a shirt, the smallest shirt you have. And he's like, what is happening? And I said, so, our kid has vomited everywhere. So he told me to come in. So I'm walking this vomity, crying, sick kid into Mark's warehouse. We put a shirt on them. Their smallest shirt is way too big anyways. And I do believe we just threw out the clothes that they were in.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Came back, and then I'm like, it's still all over the car seat. Well, fuck. So I'm trying to clean it with like the moist towelettes that you throw in your trunk, for when you've had wings somewhere. I'm like, oh, this could become in handy. Sure. I've got our baby wipes. We're trying to clean it as best we can, but everything still just stinks. It reeks. We get home. My husband is putting the kid to bed, and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do about this stupid car seat? It reeks. And I was able to get the padding off, but there was no way to take the seatbelt straps off.
Uh-huh.
And
the nooks and crannies and those things. The English muffin of it all is just too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So eventually I filled the bathtub. I put soap in there, and I chucked the whole goddamn seat into the bathtub.
Oh, all right.
Let it sit for a while. Uh-huh. And then I took it outside to let it dry, and then I sprayed the straps with vodka because that takes odors out very well. And that worked great. And I'm told later that you really shouldn't, wash the straps, and that it's very bad for them. But I'm like, I can't live with vomit, and I'm too poor to buy another car seat.
Right. And it would live in there forever. As we know, we've all tried to clean vomit out of those seats, and it is it's impossible.
And then you wondered why in the next car trip that you took, your kid was sucking on the straps and fell asleep for the next 3.5 hours with that little vodka buzz.
Yeah, no. Thank you for that gross out.
I think I completely missed the point of this, because when you mentioned that wipes in the car are for when you eat wings and stuff, and I thought, That is not the first association I would have made for
Fair
in the
enough.
car, but I love it anyway.
Fair enough. This just goes to show how much of a meataholic my husband is.
We love him already
there have been-
because here at Gaytriarchs,
wings in the
we're meataholics as well. So
Yes.
We love meat too. Yeah, we love meat.
Elisha Dacey, you are a complete delight. Thank you for seeking us out. We
Wonderful.
are thrilled to have you in the Gaytriarchs family. And thanks
you.
for sharing your advice and also mistakes made so that we will no doubt go out and make exactly the same fucking mistakes again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm glad that I could not help. Yeah, thanks.
So we had a neighbor take us to a concert recently, and we were, let's just say, the youngest people in the crowd. But it was so fantastic to be taken out of our comfort zone. Somebody wanted to treat us, and that was great. And it was a jazz musician, a jazz trio. Not normally my cup of tea, but man, did I feel cultural and just like, you know, I wouldn't have sought out that concert, but it was really awesome to see a concert on somebody else's turf. And I'm reminded, God, I wish I were just richer with more time on my hands and no responsibilities in life. And I would love to go out and be cultural every single night of the week. So
Was it the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones? No. Okay.
No, but I would love to go see the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, but I will not do it unless somebody else buys me a ticket and forces me to do it, because that's unfortunately my reality, because all I do is melt into the couch, watch too much Netflix, and eat too many Reese's peanut butter cups as a total hypocrite.
Total hypocrite.
What about you?
So my son got pink eye, like all the kids do in daycare, every 5 fucking seconds. So the rule is you have to be on antibiotics for 24 hours before you can go back. And so he had to stay home for a day where he wasn't really sick. You know what I mean? He was just kind of home. And I'm still traumatized by like infancy, where the idea of a kid home means your day is ruined. You cannot work at all. You can't do laundry. You can't even fart by yourself because there will be something that needs you the whole time.
Totally.
And so he was home and I was like, fuck, I canceled all my meetings. I was moving things around. And then I just was like, I need to take him. I need to get groceries. I need to do something. So I just brought him along with me for the first half of the day. And it was so easy and great. And I forgot, because he's almost 5 now, that he can just get in the car and go to the grocery store without any sort of fanfare, without any sort of preparation or thought or whatever. I had to come downstairs and do a quick meeting on the phone. And I was like, just here, play with your iPad. He's like, okay. And it just was like so easy and so enjoyable. We stopped at Starbucks and had a little drinky poo. Like, it was just one of those moments. And I said this a couple weeks ago, where like my son being older has just made it a little easier.
Totally.
I was like, this was actually kind of enjoyable. Yeah. Listen, I will still reserve the right to complain about all parts of parenting forever, but it was a great day of just hanging out with my kid while I did stuff that I thought I couldn't do with him.
It's a great realization, and when you hit that moment. And David, just you wait.
Oh, fuck. Let's end the show before you start just you waiting me. That is our show, unfortunately. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at David FM Vaughn everywhere, and Gavin is stuffing his face full of Reese's peanut butter cups right now.
Please leave David a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll do as I say, not as I do next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.